Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. I'm going to wait a bit until people start coming in to the show, but welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Feelings, the show. And you could be anywhere else, but you're here with me, so let me thank you for that. It's going to be quite an interesting show. At least I hope people who join find it interesting because it's a follow up to last week's show that I entitled Dear Black Men, How Can We Love You Better? This week's show is called Dear Black Women, How Do You Want to Be Loved? And the women showed up. So I sent this out to friends. I put it on social media, and I have 22 responses, including my own, because I definitely wanted to share how I also wanted to be loved. It is interesting. I'm actually trying to make sure that I also can see the show. Um, I got some interesting responses, and there was a split between single women, married women, divorced women, women in relationships. So I really tried to get a variety of perspectives from women, which are great. Hello, hi, I can see the motherfucker. I am like trying to see the show so I don't have to lean in, but I really wanted to have this conversation because, again, the whole premise of my show is to change the conversation on Black relationships. So before we can change the conversation, we have to better understand each other. And I don't want to add to the contention between us. I like to keep it real. That I will definitely say. So I definitely keep it real. I do often keep it a little bit provocative, but what I don't do is I'm not trying to be in a space where I am creating contention between us. I want us to be able to have honest, raw discussions about topics that affect us. And before I get into anything, this is going to be a bit TMI, but I'm going to have to say it. It is important for us as Black people to take care of our health, right? And there's so much, in my last book that I wrote, No Handouts for Black Girls, I did this research, and and it talked about, especially with Black women, we are the largest group of women who die from preventable diseases. And so I just want to do a PSA for Black women of, let's please start taking care of ourselves. And again, this is about to be a TMI, and this is also for men as well. We don't take care of our colon health. We don't take care of our digestive health. And we need to do more colonics and enemas and all of those things, because we have a lot of buildup of toxins in our body that are attributed to the types of food we often eat. And we need to make sure that we're taking care of our health. So that is, again, a little bit TMI, but I can tell you with myself, I started doing more enemas, which is a low budget version of a more expensive procedure. Colonics, and what basically happens is you flush water into your system to be able to clear your system out. And ladies, I'm telling you, this is helping with bloat that I have, that I thought was part of fibroids that I might have. I work out 5 to 6 days a week, and my body just was good, but it wasn't operating at its best. And I'm finding now that I've incorporated these enemas into my diet, what's happening to my body, and it's going to be so important. And again, and this is for men as well. I know it's weird to have something up your booty hole, because that's what happens when you do an enema colonics. I actually have to stuff something up my booty hole and flush my system out. But if it means that we'll live longer, I will, again, be TMI with you. So that is my TMI moment. So again, I appreciate everyone. Again, this show is entitled Dear Black Woman, How Do You Want to Be Loved? So I have the responses here, and I'm going to go through them one at a time, and I'm going to share the responses. And if you are a woman who is watching us live and you want to participate, please feel free to add it in the chat. I don't know why for whatever reason, cannot see the show. But please feel free to add it in the chat, because I would like to be able to share it. Again, it was fascinating. And women were raw about their responses, like truly raw about their responses. And I appreciate this. It was just as last week with the men. The men were truly raw and open about their responses. And so I very much appreciate everybody's participation. So I'm going to tell you which one is mine. It's actually at the very end. So if you do care how I want to be loved, I save it till the very end. It was kind of something that I wrote late last night. But I'm going to start with the first one. Again, answering the question, Dear Black woman, how do you want to be loved? So the first question was, sorry, the first answer was unconditionally, honestly, thoughtfully, easily, passionately. So again, unconditionally, honestly, thoughtfully, easily, passionately. And it's so interesting because that word unconditionally was the theme for the men last week. For the men, I got 13 responses. From the women, including mine, I have 22 responses. So shout out to the ladies because they came through. But as you can see, the first one, and I actually just randomly selected how I was going to put these together, but that word unconditionally. So already off the bat, men and women are saying they want to be loved the same way, unconditionally, right? There is this combativeness that's happening between us, or at least that's the narrative. That's the narrative that's being, and I don't want to say the word pumped because it's not the word, but that's the narrative that's been curated to us to say that Black men and Black women are just, contentious, and, the N words ain't ish and B words ain't this and all of these things. But grown people, because this was grown people I asked, these grown, educated people, this is where these responses were coming. Grown, educated, for the most part, corporate, entrepreneurial women. These mature Black women, the responses that they give you are very mature. They're very mature responses because these women have lived life, they've experienced things, and they're thoughtful in their behavior and also in their work. So again, right away, we're seeing that the theme already is that word unconditionally is a crossover between the men and the women. Second response, my love language is quality time, so I want him being present. We make the effort to be with each other as often as we can, physically and mentally. We can talk about anything because there's trust, and then have moments where we say nothing but just enjoy being together because we're each other's peace and safety. Another word that came up last week with men, safety, peace, peace. Peaceful people generally do not gravitate towards or get in relationship with toxic people. So when we hear this, I'm not with this person because they were toxic. Well, you're toxic too, because I don't know if you've ever tried to interrupt somebody who's at peace and interrupt their space. It's very hard to do that. I'm at peace. I'm a very peaceful person. I'm at peace at this point in my life. If anyone tries to come and disrupt my peace, it's not happening. And I think as Black men and Black women, peace is important for us. And listen, no one can give you peace. No one should be giving you peace, but they should be your peace. And I'm seeing some responses. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to make sure I'm seeing them pop up. Sorry, I'm trying to find them on YouTube. Listen, myself on YouTube. I'm going to pin this so I can see this message. So can we discuss what unconditional love actually is? Not tonight, but maybe another show. That is a great one, conceited motherfucker. And that is definitely one that I will put on the list of things to discuss, because I think unconditional can mean different things to different people. And that's actually maybe a question I'm going to ask people of how they interpret the word unconditional. Because again, what does that word mean to you? Listen, for me, I can tell you, unconditional doesn't mean that I'm going to allow you to come in my space and disrupt my equilibrium, right? That's what peace is. When you're at a space where your life just kind of flows, right? Just like water flows, right? Like love is supposed to kind of just flow. And if you're coming and you're shaking it up and I now have waves, oh no, no, I can't love you unconditionally through that because it's taking me away from something that's good for me. So I'm definitely going to ask that question and think you conceited motherfucker of what the word unconditional means to people. But the next woman answered about how do you want to be loved was, I want to be understood. I want to be complimented, encouraged. I want to be held to feel protected. I want quality time, even if it's not as often as I desire, but I want special time just for us. It's crazy that this is not the narrative. Like I'm gonna go through these responses, and you're gonna kind of start seeing a theme, and you're also gonna recognize that there is a particular team, the Jamaican in me, right? I mispronounce word theme that doesn't show up, but it's a theme that people want to push and say that's how Black women want to be loved, right? But you're going to hear some words that again are very thoughtful. So number 4, this one is a long one, so be prepared. I want to be loved well, which means that I want to be accepted for my imperfections, as I'm willing to love the imperfections because I am not perfect. But I'm not willing to put either my disrespect or an untrustworthy man. Okay, I think they meant to write that different. But my greatest love is for me and then everyone else. Reciprocity in any relationship is important. Be romantic, family relationship, whatever it is, but capacity is important. So I want, need, and expect reciprocity. Reciprocate do not have to be a big thing. Always be letting someone know that you care and you're thinking about them. I'm hoping, okay, that's perfect. So sorry, I copied and pasted everything and forgot to take that out. But the reciprocity is something that comes. I think that's an interesting one because I think we want people to give us what we give out. That's really what reciprocity is. Reciprocity isn't financial. I think a lot of people think that reciprocity has to be financial, but reciprocity is, I think, if I'm giving you a certain energy, I want to receive that back. If I'm showing you care and attention and affection and loyalty and respect, the true core of love, I want to get that back. That's what reciprocity is. It isn't, counting every time I do something on this side of the sheet just to check on this side of the sheet if you're doing the same thing. Because again, reciprocity is not supposed to be, as they call it, tit for tat. Reciprocity is I'm giving, but I'm also receiving energy back from my person. Okay. So the number 5 response about Dear Black Woman, how do you want to be loved is the following. Honestly and unreservedly and with intention. Love me in the face of fear, in spite of past hurts and failed relationships. Love me openly, free in the knowledge that I will do the same for you. Love me as if I'm the last as if I'm the last lover you'll ever have. Tell me, touch me, show me you love me. Honestly, reading these responses were so beautiful because they were so thoughtful. And I really respected the fact that people put so much thought into this. What was even more interesting is a lot of women were like, wow, to the question. It's a question they don't often think about. And it's a question that often we don't even ask ourselves. Because how can someone love us until we know how we want to be loved, until we know how to define love? And these are topics I'm going to address in my next book. These answers actually are going to find their way into my book. And so are the answers from the men, right? I really want all of you to speak to me about the idea of love and the construct of love and how you see love. It's really important. This is not just about me and my journey and my story. I do this for all of you every week because, again, I want to change the conversation around Black relationships. So the number 6 response is, I want to be loved when I'm lovable. And I also want to be loved when I'm unlovable. I want someone to love me as I am good and bad, not resent me for being the life of the party and then not resent me for when I don't feel like being the life of the party. I don't want to say I want to be loved unconditionally, but it's a mature love that is maintained during the peaks and the valleys, a purposeful love. Again, beautiful response. Number 7, in a way that serves my highest good and honors each facet of me. Number 8, I want to be loved by someone who shows it as opposed to saying it, who accepts my flaws and does not use it to highlight my deficiencies, who's mature and honest. I want to be loved by someone who loves and appreciates life. I want to be loved by someone who no longer carries hatred in their heart. Because if you're carrying hatred and resentment, how could you genuinely love someone without giving off that negative energy to the person? Let me pause there for a second. Come healed is what that's saying. We have to recognize that love is also energy. It's an energy that we give. And if you are holding, I again talked about it in my last book, this idea of carrying this backpack of basically almost like weights of everything that you've dealt with in the past. And every time someone hurts you, that backpack gets heavier because you keep holding on and you hold on and you carry that with you. Imagine carrying that up a mountain. As someone who hikes and loves hiking, listen, I want to be free as a bird. I just want my water and strap my phone on my arm and make sure that I'm good to go. When you are hiking, you want to be as light as possible. You're only bringing the necessary items that you need to get your ass up that mountain and then back down that mountain. You do not want to be carrying a backpack and along the way, imagine going along the way up the mountain, your backpack is light, it's empty, but as you're going up the mountain, you're picking up rocks and you keep putting them in the backpack. So by the time you're getting to the top of the mountain, it's filled with all these rocks that's weighing you down. That's how some of you are showing up in relationships, men and women, with all of the stuff from back there, and you're bringing it forward to the new person, and it's weighing you down so much that that energy that you're giving that person, it has nothing to do with them. It's all about the stuff that you should have left back there. So you've got to consider this idea of love almost like being like hiking. I don't know if you've ever hiked, but I have. I used to hike a lot when I was in Phoenix, like almost every day I was hiking. And trust me, you cannot get up that mountain with a backpack full of weights weighing you down. So come healed and love somebody from a healed place. So that's my TED Talk for the moment. Okay, number 9. With intention, selflessly, and on purpose. With someone who is actually capable of that. Number 10. Respected, shown kindness, even when arguing, understanding or trying to both sides of issues. Values both our independence while enjoying being together. Understanding my kid always comes first, and they get along with her, likes to travel with me and explore wherever we go. Number 11, wholly, completely, unreservedly, loudly, and proudly, flaws and all, with patience, kindness, compassion, honesty, and a side of humor. Number 12. This one was cute. With homemade food, surprise chocolate bars, and lots of patience. Number 13. I want to be touched and receive acts of service that help me get through the day. Number 14 was very simple. Effortlessly. Effortlessly. I don't know anyone who wants to feel as if loving them is a burden. Right? That's a recipe for a breakup or a divorce. If loving me start feeling like a chore, or if you wake up every day questioning, is this really what I want to do? Houston, we have a problem, right? I used to say when, with my ex, we used to talk about the fact that every day you have to get up and recommit yourself to that person. And it should be easy. I choose you again today. I chose you yesterday. I'm choosing you again today. And God forbid I wake, if I get a chance to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to choose you tomorrow. But it's a conscious choice that we get up, and it should feel easy to choose that person every day. That's what effortlessly is. And I thought that was beautiful. Number 15, respectfully. I want to be equals in a relationship, and that we both want what's best for each other. This particular person has been married for 17 years, so I thought that was an interesting response. This answer is peacefully, joyfully, considerate / empathetically, humbly, supportively, and I would add some curiosity to that too, for each other and the world / life. Someone who sees me for who I truly am, and I see them, and we still choose to love each other. The Journey to Imperfect Love. That is essentially my book. There is no perfect love, but when you are in a position where someone can see you and your battle wounds, because at this stage in our life, I know I'm 44 years old. I come with battle wounds. I come with them. I come with the relationships in the past. Now, luckily for me, again, I do not have a backpack full of weights. I've left all of that behind, but I've been through some things. And he's going to have been through some things. And when we stand in front of each other, naked as the day we were born, with our battle wounds and our scars, clearly not literally, figuratively, but shit, as a woman, we may have some. You may have had a C-section or whatever, so you might have literal scars. But the figurative scars, when we stand there in front of each other and we have bared our soul, I think this woman is saying, I want you to love me after that. Don't love me in the covered version of myself. It's easy to love me in this version. Can you love me after I've bared myself and bared my soul? That is important. Okay. This next one, this is number 17. I want to be loved how I love. Love me. Sorry, I want to be loved how I love. Love me for me and for how I love you. Emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Like-minded, upliftment growth. Show me my strengths as well as my faults, and be accepting when I do the same, as we should both want us to be our best selves. Beautiful. Number 18, without any judgment, wholeheartedly and honestly. Call me on my shit and don't take me for granted. I really like that one. And this person who wrote this in, they're married. That's important, right? It is important when we are in a space. Like, I also want someone to call me on my shit. Again, I'm writing a book about the journey to imperfect love. None of us are perfect. And I have a show called Fuck Your Feelings for a reason, because I don't get to see myself in a relationship. You don't get to see yourself in a relationship. So it is important that you have a partner who you feel safe enough with, that knowing when they're calling you out on things that you're doing, that it's meant to help you and guide you to be a better person, as opposed to be able to hinder you. So I thought that one was really beautiful. So the next one is blah, 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 blah. Number 19. Okay, right? I think I'm on number 19. 19. Again, dear Black woman, how do you want to be loved? So this lady says, Gently, unconditionally, and exclusively. Number 20, like Christ loves the church, real sacrificial love that isn't selfish, but is about we, not just I. I want two more to go. Mine's is one of them. I want to take a pause for a second. Thank you, Toronto Mermaid, for joining. I love the fact Toronto Mermaid on Instagram says she is a firm believer of this, and thank you, girl. So again, I have two more to go, but I want us to stop for a second and realize that in the 20 responses I have read, finances have not come up at all. At all. How these Black women responded they wanted to be loved had nothing to do with dollar signs. There's a gentleness that they all described with love. Again, words like unconditionally, acceptance, all of those things have come up. No one has said, I want to be loved by a six-figure man who's over 6 feet and 6 inches, right? Like, that's not really how women want to be loved. At least I'll tell you, the mature Black women that I put this out to, that took the time to answer, yes, finances are important. We understand when we talk about protection and provision. I think we all know that we're talking about finances as a part of that. Protection and provision is so much more than that. It's also protecting your heart. A lot of what I'm hearing from women is protect my heart. Love me effortlessly. Love me unconditionally. Love me genuinely. Love me patiently, because I'm gonna fuck up. I think we all understand that. But love me in a way that makes me feel safe. There is nothing more beautiful than that safety that you feel from someone who truly loves you. That space to be vulnerable. And I heard the same last week from men. That loyalty, that respect, that unconditionally, safety, that idea of being safe in love. Because for a lot of us now, love is such a scary concept. The idea of falling in love, the idea of having to fall out of love, getting into marriages and getting divorces, like, right, there's all this idea of the social construct of what a relationship's supposed to be like, and the type of men that you have to be, and the type of woman that you have to be in order to even get love these days. And women are saying, like, damn it, like, if I take all of that away, this is truly how I want to be loved. And I'm so happy that I even thought to ask this question. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that over the last couple of weeks, men and women have allowed me to ask this question and have been honest and raw and real in their responses. So I'm going to read number 21 and 22. One of them is actually mine. I'm going to see, you know what, I'm going to leave mine was actually 21, but I'm going to make it 22. I'm actually going to read what was supposed to be the last one first, and then I'm going to read mine. So, number 21, I want someone that makes me feel safe, supported, desired, valued, inspired, etc. I just think it's impossible to expect one person to do and be all of those things every day forever. I think if you have someone you generally like that is your biggest cheerleader, that you want to have sex with and talk to over a meal, then you got love and a chance. After 10 years, I think love is more about the small things, not necessarily these grand emotional needs. Michelle Obama summed it up well when she said, Barack feels like home. And that really resonated with me because that's exactly how my husband feels. And this comes from someone who's been married for 10 years. The essence of true Black love is out there. And I want us to gravitate towards that. I want us to gravitate towards this idea of genuine, true Black love. Again, we're getting all of these. Listen, it doesn't take far on YouTube to find these ideals about Black love, that there is no Black love. There is. I just read responses from 21 Black women, 21 career-oriented, mature Black women. I can guarantee you, I don't know all of them because some of them came in from friends that I asked to send this around, but knowing the friend that I had send this around, her friends are career-oriented, they're educated, they're, attractive, they're all of those things, the things that men say that they want. And when you're actually sitting down and talking to women who have a genuine heart, these are the responses that you're going to get. Do not believe that good Black women do not exist. And for the men, the women, do not believe that good Black men don't exist. I went through the exercise last week. If you did not watch last week's show, I recommend that you go back and watch it, because these men pour their hearts into their responses to me. So speaking of heart, this is the response that I gave. So how do I, Toshiba, want to be loved? I want to be loved patiently, intentionally, purposely, passionately, loyally, wholeheartedly, with kindness and warmth. I want his love to be like a cool breeze in the summer and heat in the winter. How he loves me should inspire me, motivate me, and make me believe that I can achieve anything. I want him to wake up every day and recommit to his commitment and love for me. I want him to choose me every day, especially on the days when choosing me is hard. Shit, I'm gonna make myself cry. That's real. Not for what I look like, not for how my body is, not for my accolades, not necessarily even for my education. I want him to love the person that I am, scars and all. And that's what a lot of these responses were saying. Like I said, I want him to love me sometimes when loving me is hard. Loving another person isn't always easy, and it's not supposed to be. Love is one of the most complicated emotions that we have, because love can turn to hate in an instant. We all know it. Hello, divorce court. And as someone who's been through a divorce, and thank God it wasn't as contentious as some divorces I have heard, I know what that feels like. There's the part when you are in love and you're getting married, and no one prepares you for what it could be if you get a divorce, because everybody's focused on this part and not the other part. And so I wanted to do this show for us to really think about not the feelings alone part of love, but the concept of love as a whole. And what does that mean? In my book, I talk about writing a letter to love. Hey, Shelby. I appreciate it. Shelby said he's coming through to support and learn. I don't know if you've missed. I've read all 22, Shelby. I can go back and read a few, but I really want, one of the things in my new book that I challenge people to do, and I talked about it on last week's show when I read the responses from the men, is to write a letter to love. Hey, Riley. I encourage people to write a letter to love, not to someone you love, but to the concept of love. Explore what your relationship with love is, because until you understand what your relationship with love is, it's going to be very difficult to give and or receive love. Because exploring what your relationship with love is brings up all of the other things from the past, right? What did your family teach you about love? What did you learn up hearing about love? Our families form our first loving relationships. And if you unfortunately grew up in a family that didn't have love within it, that means that that's imprinted on you. And you have to recognize that imprint as you are going out in the world expecting to give and receive love. Because if you have a tangled relationship with love, you have to untangle it. And so again, I'm giving out, a little bit about my next book, but I want you guys to buy it, by the way, when it comes out, Fuck Your Feelings, The Journey to Imperfect Love. But I'm going to challenge you, because I challenge people in the book to do it. And I want all of you, early access to this idea is write a letter to love. Explore what your relationship with love is. And then if you start finding out that your relationship with love is complicated, then do something about it. Then also ask yourself, how do I want to be loved? I just, again, read 22 responses from women about how they want to be loved. And last week, 13 men responded about how they wanted to be loved. And I also want to say, and I think this goes without saying, but I feel like in today's society, I have to say it, with all of the things that, again, we see on social media, self-love is the most important love. Going out and seeking validation from other people, expecting them to bring life into you by loving you, is not going to get you anywhere. And if I may be so bold to say it, that's why we've got a bunch of single parent homes of women having multiple children by multiple men over and over again, making the same mistake, which is the definition of an insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. They are searching for this love that they didn't get from back here and seeking it in someone else instead of finding it with themselves. And so that's what ends up happening. It is a symptom of not understanding or growing in an environment rich of love, but it's no excuse. Let me just say that. It isn't an excuse. And you got to figure it out, because no one is going to give you the type of love that you can give to yourself. And like, I read that, I'm going to, read that response again. This was actually the response that I read from the person who talked about the idea that expecting someone to love you is actually my best friend. One of my best friends, in case the other best friends are watching, one of my best friends, and I'm going to read it again, what she said. I want someone that makes me feel safe, supported, desired, valued, inspired, etc. I just think it's impossible to expect one person to do and to be all of those things every day forever. I think if you have someone you genuinely like, that is your biggest cheerleader, that you want to have sex with and talk to over a meal, then you got love and a chance. After 10 years, I think love is more about the small things, not necessarily those grand emotional needs. Michelle Obama summed it up well when she said Barack feels like home, and that really resonated with me, because that's exactly how my husband feels. To expect one person to be your end all be all in love, that is way too much responsibility for one person. To expect one person to bring you happiness and joy is way too much responsibility to put on one person. And the reality is you're actually dooming that person to fail. So what you did is you said, you know what? I'm going to put the wall way up here. So you know what? He's 6'5". He's going to have to jump over a 7'5" barrier to get to me, because I put all of these things in place. He needs to be my happiness. He needs to give me all of this emotional and make up for the fact that I didn't get loved by my mom and my dad, and he's got to do all of that. And the man's just like, God damn. Or the woman's just like, God damn. Because some of you men come with a lot of this shit too. Trust me. I was with someone for almost 3 years who grew up in chaos. and he only knew chaos. That's all he knew. Love to him was chaos. When I brought peace, it was unrecognizable to him because it wasn't chaos. And until he sat down and wrote that letter to love is when he started realizing, God damn, it wasn't enough to save our relationship, but it was enough to get him to the point where he was like, I've got to figure out this relationship I have with love so I don't keep operating in a space of chaos. That's what a lot of us are doing, operating in a space of chaos and expecting other people to love us through our chaos. And so this exercise that I'm asking you to do of writing a letter to love, I share my letter to love in my book. If you want to get a sneak peek of what it is, I actually have a show that I did about a year ago called Dear Love, where I read my letter to love, and my ex is also in that video, and he does the same, right? So we really have to understand this concept of love and what love is, right? What is the idea of love for you? What does love really mean for you? What are you trying to get out of love? And then this is why I think these responses from these women, and think all 21 of the women who took the time to respond to me, that's why they gave it thought. It was thoughtful. When you are self-assured and know yourself and know who you are as a person, and you have love within yourself, it's very easy to turn around and say, this is how I want someone to love me, because that's how you love in return. You actually have to recognize, how do I love? How do I love? So what is my relationship with love, and how do I love? And if you have to go back to your exes, or you really have to speak with your partner, do it. Having somebody else tell you how you are operating the world is invaluable to you. I used to say to my ex, I don't see myself in this relationship, so I depend on you to tell me if I'm creating a space for you that isn't healthy, because I'm just operating as me. And yes, I'm healed and I think that I'm great and I'm on this journey and life is good and blah, blah, blah. But I could be operating in a way that you're just like, oh, this is an issue for me, because I don't get to see myself in a relationship. You don't get to see yourself in a relationship. And so I would suggest you go around to people and be like, how do I show up in your life? Do I show up in your life in a way that you want, right? Is there ways for me to improve? I'm constantly on a journey in self-improvement, because I can't ask someone to love me in a way that I can't love them back, or in a way that I'm not even loving myself in return. Like, this show is to change the conversation around Black relationships, and I know that I am fighting against a whole host of other shows that are more entertaining, and there's a bunch of drama, and the comment section is just ripping people apart because they show up as their worst selves. I want us to show up as our best self. That's my goal. Let's show up as our best self. Let's truly show up. Hey, Cass, let's truly show up as our best self. Let's show the world what it truly looks like when two Black people come together and truly love each other, how beautiful it can be, and how many things we can accomplish together. I don't need to see this anymore. We've seen it. We have enough of this. I've seen the beauty of Black love. I've seen the beauty of two people coming together and growing together in every way, not just financially. They breathe life into each other, and how beautiful that is. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see two people come together. And if that is not the environment that you're in, and you want to be in that environment, you need to remove yourself from that. If you want to see the beauty in love and all you see is chaos in love, then you need to figure out, how do I remove myself and start seeing the beauty in love? Nothing grows in toxicity. Nothing. And this is why when people say, oh, I left this person because they're toxic, but you had 2-3 kids with them. That's impossible. It's possible? Impossible. It is impossible to have stayed with someone who was toxic without you also being toxic, because nothing truly grows in toxicity. And we really need to evaluate what we want in life and what we bring to people. So that is my TED Talk for the night. I am going to go through, sorry, as I scoot over, I'm going to take some of these cards here. If anyone has any comments, questions that they want to add, if any of the ladies here that did not write and want to say how they want to be loved in the comments, I'm happy to hear it. But I'm going to answer a couple of these questions. And knowing me, I might skip some of them because, listen, I appreciate tonight's conversation, but some of their conversation is exactly some of the stuff I'm trying to combat, because it ends up being about body count and all kinds of crap. So if you see me just like skipping a bunch of questions, it's because I'm just like, this is not what grown people need to be talking about. And again, those things get clicks, and God help them, and I bless them, and I support it. When they were in Toronto, my brother and I went to see them. My brother bought me the cards because he knows I have the show, and listen, I try to support everybody Black. But I'm also trying to combat some of the conversations that are not healthy within our community. So thank you, girl. So Toronto Member said, you are preaching tonight, taking notes. Bummed I missed the first half. Go back and watch it, girl. It's going to be up on YouTube. And of course, when this is done, watch it on Instagram. But go back and watch it because I had some great responses to the question. So, oh, good God. I'm really trying. Okay. So this is a decent one. So again, from tonight's conversation, your significant other forgets your birthday. What happens next? I can tell you, for me, my birthday is like the most important day of the year for me. I don't care about Christmas. I don't care about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is actually usually over All-Star Weekend, and I'm a big basketball fan. So I care more about All-Star Weekend than I care about Valentine's Day. And actually this year, we get something great because Super Bowl is on February the 11th, and then we've got NBA All-Star Weekend that starts on the 17th. I'll be in, I'm trying to think of the dates because the 16th, I'll be in Tulum. And so really don't care about Valentine's Day. But if my significant other forgets my birthday, I think it's symptom of a bigger issue, because there's something going on, and I need to figure out what that bigger issue is. I would be hurt. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be hurt because again, I love my birthday. It's the most important day of the year for me. But if someone that I'm pouring into, or at least I think I'm pouring into, forgets my birthday, this starts to be the symptom of a bigger issue. And I want to get down to what the issue is. Is it that we're disconnected? Is it that he's working too hard? Is it like there's something? Because you're not just going to forget your significant other's birthday. I'm not the person to yell and scream and go through and do silent, what is it, like the silent treatment. I'm not doing any of that. We're grown adults, and we need to be able to converse. So I'm gonna figure out, be like, babe, you seem to have forgotten something, my birthday. Is there something going on that we need to discuss, because you know how important this day is for me, and if there's something that we need to put on the table, let's do it right now. And as much as, like, that one day is important, there's also 365 days in a year. So there were 364 other days. How was he treating me in those 364 days? And this is why I actually hate Valentine's Day. This is why, like, the idea that a man has got to show up as this extra suave, romantic man who goes out and spends ridiculous money on overpriced crap because the same chocolate and flowers he buys you on the 14th actually goes on sale by the 15th, and that same chocolate that he had to spend $30-something on is marked down and slashed down in the damn red heart box to like half the price the next day. Foolish. The same restaurant that's all packed, you can go the next day or the day after. Like, I hate the commercialism of love. Love's not supposed to be commercialized, right? And so ladies, if you're one of those people who gets mad if your man doesn't get you something, for one day out of the year, you got to consider how is he treating me the other 364 days. Like really, like again, we're grown. A man has an issue with his baby mother. I hate this term so much. So I'm going to reword the question. A man has an issue with the mother of his child calling herself a single mom. He feels it makes it seem like he's not involved. Does he have a point? Explain. He does have a point. She is not a single mom. She's an unwed mother, and there's a difference. My daughter's father was very involved in her life, and he still is. I have for those who do not know, I have a 22-year-old, and her father and I still communicate, still converse, because we understand that is important for her. I wasn't a single mom. I was an unwed mother, right? He was active. We, he had her for Christmases. We would, do March breaks. We would, weekends, like all of these things. Like he showed up for her dance stuff, for her when she played AAU basketball. Like he was there. And so again, wasn't a single mom, but I was definitely an unwed mom. And I think we have to reframe how we say things in our mind. This is why I actually don't like that term baby mama or baby father. Like when my daughter's father reaches out to me, I call him, father of child. Like that's kind of my inside thing with him. When he says something, I'm like, hey, father of child. Because that's what he is. He's the father of my child. He isn't a baby father. Like it's just, let's reframe and reposition how we use our vocabulary, because we weaponize certain words. And I feel like that word baby mama and baby father has been weaponized against especially Black women. So I'm going to read some comments here. Toronto Mermaid says, right, I hated that date. I love the idea of surprise effort on any other day. That is a bigger turn on. That's respect to my hatred of Valentine's Day. Sorlin Sage is my sponsor. So make sure you're checking out Sorlin Sage. Sorlin Sage says, unwed mother sounds judgy as well. Single mother, I think, is just another way of indicating marital status, but it has come to mean women alone raising a child. I get that. I think they're all judgy. Irregardless of what we say, it's judgy. But I feel like the baby mama term, especially, because again, baby mama, just it's vernacular that they put within the Black community that you don't really hear white women and Spanish women and Asian women talking about like they're somebody's baby mama or they got a baby father. Like we really have to reframe words that we say. Raising a child alone, and that's another thing. If you have the child's father there, then you're not raising it alone. Like a true single mother has no help. There is no father. There's no father financially. There's no father physically. There's no father emotionally. There's no father spiritually. There is a spot that is empty. So there is nobody to help you influence and bring the child into the world and make them a productive member of society. That is a true single mother. There is no other person. A mother who has a child and is no longer with the father, I'm sorry, I was not a single mother because my daughter's father helped me to usher her in to adulthood, to help me to cement the things that she needed to know as she grew up as a young woman. Now, if you just had effed off and wasn't there, absolutely single mom, ain't got nobody. These comments are coming in. Toronto Mermaid said, Sorlin Sage agree, but single mother does a disservice to fathers who are involved in their child's life. Some of these women are not alone. Drops mic. Facts. So, great conversation happening here. Next question. After having amazing sex, your significant other asks if it's the best sex you've ever had. It is not. Would you tell the truth or lie? Yeah, so I don't date men who are generally insecure. So I've got nothing. Like, I've never met a man in my life who's ever asked me this question. Like, this stems from a place of insecurity, and I date very confident, self-assured men. And any confident, self-assured man may ask you, babe, did you enjoy that? Or is there anything that I could do differently and do better or whatever? But what the fuck? Like, is this the best? Are we 16? Like, who comes up with these? I guess this is happening in the world, but not in my world. This is not the world I live in, guys, where some man's gonna be like, hey babe, so was that the best sex you've ever had? What? What the fuck? No. Toronto Mermaid is laughing out loud because girl, like the fuck? Like, pardon my language. True or false? Women are better cheaters because they are more discreet and better at multitasking. Defend your answer. Um, do I think women are better cheaters? Yet? Do I think they're better cheaters? Do I think we're better cheaters for the reason that they gave? No, that's not the reason we're better cheaters. I think generally women don't cheat impulsively. So I'll start there. Cheating for women generally isn't an impulsive action. We didn't just go to Vegas and, what happens in Vegas, stay in Vegas, meet a hot guy and decide to give up our badge to this hot man because we're in Vegas. It's usually a thought out thing. It's a man that is now feeding you emotionally. Again, I just read 22 answers of how women want to be loved. This man shows up and is showing them love in a way that their partner may not. And so when it gets to the point where they're ready to cheat, they have thought through, again, mature grown women have thought through all of the different steps. They're unfortunately planning with their friends. Hey girl, tell Scott that I was with you. Like, they're getting the group involved. I am not condoning this, but I'm telling you what happens. Right? So they're getting the best friends involved, the people that you know. So if you're like, hey Toshiba, Cheryl said that she was with you. Hey, you know what? We just left. She's on her way home. She should be home in like 20 minutes. Oh, you're not getting her? Shoot. I was just, maybe her phone died. I don't know, but we had a great time. Please let her know to call me when she gets home. We're good. Then girl, I'm going to call Cheryl and be like, yo, Matt just called, and just be alert that he was whatever. Girl, say your phone died. Like, we are on it. It's terrible. I do not recommend, but that's why we're better cheaters. Men generally cheat impulsively. Very impulsively. And so you're going out and, again, going to the strip club or going to Vegas and doing whatever, and that's generally what happens. It isn't not a bunch of men are having, thought out affairs. They're just kind of cheating. So I would say that's why women are better cheaters. 2 more questions, and then we are going to end for the night because I actually still have to cook dinner. You're dating a person and they say they want to wait until marriage to have sex. How would you respond? Sign me up. Like, I'm good. Great. Let me find a man, please. If there's any men out there who want to wait until marriage to have sex, hit a girl up. Like, that's not an issue for me. Like, I do not need to sample anything. Like, and again, if I have a good man, I'm not going to break up a good relationship for bad sex, because we're going to figure out the sex. There's classes, there's porn, there's all of this other stuff that we're going to do. I'm not, as a 44-year-old woman, I can only speak as a 44-year-old woman, I'm not giving up a great man for bad sex. And that's assuming that the sex would be bad. Like, no, I'm good. Like, find me a good, solid man and sign me up for waiting until marriage. Like, because at least he's thinking about marriage, and marriage is on his mind, and we're on a marriage track, and that's what we're doing. Like, that was the key in that question for me. Marriage. He's thinking about marriage and long term and longevity, and could potentially see me in that place as his wife. Again, I'm looking for a man who wants a wife, not who just wants to be married. There's a difference. So, last question. How long after dating someone do you define the relationship or make it official? There is no length of time which that happens. It's 2 people sitting down and having a conversation and deciding that based on their connection, their energy, all of those different things, that they want to be with each other. In my last relationship, we were in a relationship after 10 days and in cohabitation after 96 days. And we stayed together for 2 years, 8 months, and 2 days, right? I've also dated men who relationships didn't happen for 6 months, right? So it's about the pace that you're on with that person. And again, I am not the person, like, I'm already having these conversations with men and finding out what it is that they want. Do you want marriage? Do you want cohabitation? Are you looking for long-term? Are you just dating around? Like, where is your head? and I'm not going to stick around. If I know that I want a relationship, I'm not sticking around with a man. I don't care how fine he is. I don't care how much money he is. If we are not aligned in terms of what we want in a relationship, it's very silly. And a lot of us women are running around with single men. Like, you're in a relationship with a single man because this man is doing the relationship stuff, and he's introduced you to his family or his friends, or he's taking you to his corporate party, or he's taking you to whatever, and you're like, oh my God, this is great. Or no, until you both sit down and that man says, hey, we've been doing this thing. I love hanging out with you. I can't see, me doing this with anybody else. Let's make this a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So ladies, please stop being in relationship with single men, and please stop wasting your time if you know you want a relationship with a man who doesn't, especially with you. Because I've met women who will stay in relationship with years with men, and then they go off, and then a year or two they're married to someone else. If you know you want something and you want more, I would encourage you to go out and get more, because that man just ain't it for you, because he could be it for someone else. Anyways, I appreciate you. I love you. If you did not watch the entirety of the show, I do recommend that you go back and you watch the replay, because again, I read 22 beautiful responses from women saying how Black women saying how they want to be loved. Let me be specific. It was Black women who were saying that they wanted to be loved, and it was a beautiful way that they wanted to be loved. And so I encourage you, if you have given up on love, or the concept of love, or the idea of love, or feel like there isn't love out there, or there are men and women who don't want to be loved, watch this week's replay and next week's show. Last week's show entitled Dear Black Men, How Can We Love You Better, where Black men really showed and talked about how they wanted to be loved. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, YouTube. Thank you, Instagram. Again, you guys could be anywhere, but you're here with me. Please make sure you are following on Instagram, subscribing on YouTube. And if you do not know, again, I have not been doing a great job of saying I have a sponsor called Sorrel and Sage, a Black-owned business. She makes all of her skincare products. She's probably churning butter as we speak. Go to shopsorrelandsage.com to check out what she's got going on. She can also customize orders for you. I just called her out. She's like, bitch, don't tell people I'm customizing orders. I got things to do. But she does customize orders. She's got amazing products for men and amazing products for women. So please go and check out shopsorrelandsage.com, a Black woman doing her thing. So I thank you all. Have a good evening. Good night to Instagram, and goodbye to YouTube. Good night, everybody. Bye.